What's up, guys? It's JJ, and welcome back to Victory Lane. Before we jump into this episode even more, we just started, but before we jump into recapping this weekend's race at Bristol, I wanted to give a little announcement. Soon, we will be transitioning all of our sports content here at Next Topic Media over to our new Next Topic Sports channel. Just going to give you guys a lot more clarity on our sports stuff for our sports fans. So, yes, please go subscribe to that channel over there. We'll start posting videos, content over there, probably once we feel like we've got a good foundation of following that has kind of joined us over on that channel. So we're looking to do it very soon. But, yeah, please go subscribe to that channel soon. The sports content, so Victory Lane, will be switching up how we present a lot of our content with other sports, but the one thing that will stay the same is going to be Victory Lane. It will still be a Monday, Thursday show over on that channel, but for we're looking hopefully in a week or two to be able to transition all of our sports content over to that channel. Hopefully we'll have it linked in the description, so it'll be easy to find for you there. But if not, just Next Topic Sports, just search that up and you should be able to find it there. But yeah, hopefully we think that will help us grow this sports branch of this channel, especially with the amount of sports content we're putting out. We just felt like it would be a really good move to kind of branch that out into its own channel. So I hope you'll come join us over there. We'll probably even have more sports content, at least on a more daily basis, over on that channel now that we are solely focused on that. But let's get to the reason why everybody's really here. Let's talk about this weekend's race at Bristol. It was a very entertaining, very chaotic elimination race. We saw some, probably I'd say, errors in the next-gen car, but this was the first time that car had been on pavement at Bristol. So whereas a lot of these playoff tracks have the benefit of that we already went to these tracks in the spring, so a lot of issues hopefully have gotten fixed with the car before the playoffs. Bristol was on dirt in the spring, so this was our first time seeing the car on pavement at Bristol, and there were obviously some errors, as we'll get into later on, but yeah, let's jump right into it. Stage one, the action started early. Ryan Blaney ended up getting around pole sitter Eric Almirola kind of early in the race. But then with, at around lap 85 or so, Harrison Burton and Austin Cindric both started having some bad tire problems. Now, these Fords early on in the race had started, having some real problems with their right front tire going down, whether that be with air pressure, camber, something with the car, something with the setup. It only was happening to the Fords, so we think it's probably a setup thing. But yeah, Harrison Burton had troubles early, and then on lap 85, we see the first playoff guy have troubles when Austin Cindric had his right front go flat, and he ended up getting sent to the wall, and he was 3 laps down, really out of contention the rest of the race. At this point, two of the guys that had been battling up front for quite a while kind of swapped the lead back and forth, Blaney and Almirola, early in the race. They have problems. Don't know if it was, I think really it felt like another right front flat on either the 12 or the 10. I can't really remember, but then the other one got into him. Blaney ended up hitting the wall. Almirola spun. They kind of took Almirola out of the top. He didn't really have much damage, but we see Ryan Blaney have what looked like to be minor damage at first. He gets the car back out on the track, and something in the back is dragging. The car's sparking. He ended up trying to make a few laps, made minimum speed, so the damaged vehicle clock turned off. But then he spent close to probably 100 laps on either pit road, or I don't know if they eventually did take it behind the wall to fix it. So at that point, he was just kind of out there making laps. Good thing for Blaney is he did have a pretty good cushion coming into the race. So that wasn't a huge issue going forward for him, but still something at the beginning, having trouble at the beginning was concerning. So ended up stage 1 is won by Brad Keselowski. This started the RFK real domination, honestly, up this race. Brad was really good, and he ended up winning stage 1. So as we go into stage 2, Christopher Bell was kind of cleared for the lead. A lot of things, just kind of Bristol racing, honestly, at that point. So, yeah, then Harrison Burton spins again, bringing out a caution. Chris Buescher ended up cycling up to the lead. We see then, at this point, the Toyota's problems start. Really up to this point, it had just been the Fords with their tire issues. Now we see both 2311 cars end up pitting, going behind the wall with power steering issues. They would come back out on the track, which we'll get to later. Harrison Burton then has another tire go down and collects Eric Jones. So I've got my notes here in front of me, but that's what if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. But Harrison Burton ended up having another tire go down. And then at this point, the Toyota's problems just started happening in a large quantity. Truex was then forced to take his car behind the wall with power steering issues. Truex said he broke the seal, which I'm not even sure what that really means, but what I do know is that the power steering fluid came out and was all over the front of the car. So Truex was done at that point. Truex just packed it up. Then we see Denny Hamlin has a right front tire, and also I don't believe, I can't tell if it was in stage 2 or stage 3 that this happens, but yeah, it was in stage 3, so we'll get to that later. But yeah, that was kind of how stage 2 ended. Christopher Bell inherited the lead late into stage 2 and held on to win stage 2. Christopher Bell did look very good most of the race, as he did for most of the first round of the playoffs, as he was one of the main ones that got locked in. So at this point, we start stage 2. Somebody that's a lot of people have stayed out at the start, which ended up making the kind of really shuffling up the order. But on lap 270, Kyle Busch, he hits the wall because smoke just starts pouring out of his car, engine failure. I would think, not the Joe Gibbs Racing intentionally made Kyle Busch's engine fail, but maybe they didn't put quite as much effort into preparing that car. Yeah, so Kyle Busch, engine out. At this point, we think his night's over. He's out of the playoffs. But once they get back going green from that caution that Kyle brought out, there's a huge wreck. Suarez just lost his car. He had a handful all night. And kind of wrecked quite a few guys in front of the field. Austin Dillon was involved, and he ended up being done for the night after this. Tyler Reddick was involved. He was able to get back on the track and just turn laps at no kind of speed at all. And then Alex Bowman was out, but Alex Bowman had been locked in at this point on stage points. So, didn't really affect him, but Austin Dillon was effectively eliminated at this point. And with these cars losing their positions, Kyle Busch was actually vaulted back in for a while. And then stage 2, it was just kind of this war of attrition. We had some cautions. They kind of shuffled the field, but we saw the players, Kyle Larson was up there. Chase Elliott got up there. He did not have the car, at least to win the race probably, but once he got track position, he was in at least contention. Some other guys, Harvick, as we talked about, he was in a must-win. Christopher Bell was, of course, still up there. He was up there all night. Brad Keselowski was up toward the front. He ended up taking the lead from Kyle Larson toward the middle of stage 3. We had some shuffling of the leaders, Christopher Bell, Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott were all guys that were up there. And then while leading, Christopher Bell, something in his right rear, he ended up having flat right rear tires at this point. So this is the second of the Toyota's tire issues, but with a different tire on both cars. Don't really know what the problem was there. And then on this pit stop is where we see, Kevin Harvick. He was at the front in a must-win situation, and ended up having, some kind of issue on his pit stop with getting the tires on. Denny Hamlin also overshot his pit stop as he was up front at that place, so this shuffled both of those guys back in the pack, and we never saw them make their way to the front again. This is where Chris Buescher takes 2 tires and cycles to the front, and then they restart on lap 444, and Chris Buescher was able to maintain his lead. This was his first Cup Series win where the race was run to the full length, that he actually probably deserved the win. As you know, I think it was his rookie season at Front Row Motorsports. He strategied, I guess you call it, his way into a rain-shortened win. But yeah, he totally deserved this race. RFK dominated this race between him and Brad Keselowski, who ended up having some tire problems like the rest of his Ford teammates toward the end of this race, and ended up, I don't know where he finished, but he had to pit under green, so it was way back. But yeah, Chris Buescher, congrats to him and RFK. He won his first of the season, the 19th different winner of the season, which is just crazy to think about. But yeah, I mean, RFK was really good, and Chris Buescher, once he got in clean air in the front, nobody could really pass him. Passing was kind of hard. That's been the one knock on this next-gen car is, well, we've had these bugs like the tire problem we had in this race and the steering problem. We've had things like that. But also the short track racing has not been as good as it was even last year. But, I mean, the racing's probably improved at most of the other tracks. So hopefully NASCAR can figure out a way to get this next-gen car a little bit better on the short tracks next year. But we'll see. Hopefully, hope and pray, because I love good short track racing like we've had the past few years. Because that's something this last car actually did well. Well, it had a lot of faults. The short track racing was very good. But let's talk about playoffs. So the guys that ended up being eliminated were Austin Dillon and Kevin Harvick. Those two, coming into this race, I think Kevin Harvick, most of us did not see him making it through. Austin Dillon, most nobody from when he made it in saw him advancing. But then 2 shockers. Tyler Reddick, who was a guy that I had going into my Final Four, if you watched our preview video of the playoffs. Darlington, I can't remember where he finished. He might have had a good run at Darlington, but then Kansas, another place where I expected him to do well. He had I don't remember if it was I think it was tire problems at Kansas, and finished way in the pack. He had some sort of issue. And then Bristol, he gets caught up in the wreck, and really he was just able to turn laps. Hope some other guys fell out, and there were some other guys falling out, but he never did gain enough spots. And then, as we said, after he blew his engine, he was out, then he was back in, and then due to maybe some manipulation teammate-wise, Joey Logano ended up retiring. Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace came back on the track and passed Kyle Busch, which was very odd seeing their Toyota teammates. But once again, Kyle's not there next year. Maybe it was it's his fault. He's not going to be here. We're going to go out and make our laps. Kind of a little shot from Joe Gibbs. I don't know. But, yeah. So, Kyle Busch is the 4th guy eliminated from this playoffs. Coming into Bristol, a lot of people with Kyle's success thought Kyle would make it through, but when your engine goes pop, it's hard to rebound from that when some of these other guys are at least still out there making laps. So let's move forward to the guys that are advancing to the round of 12. We've got Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, and Christopher Bell. So, yeah, I think it's setting up to be an interesting round 12. We've got 3 extremely different races. Sadly, we're going to Texas this weekend, as awful of a track as Texas is. Then we've got Talladega and the Roval. So this is really a wild card round, honestly. But if you had to get my predictions on who I think ends up being eliminated after this round, I'd have to go with Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, and then probably Alex Bowman. You know, Alex really has struggled at Texas in his career, and then, Talladega and the Roval are just so much wild cards that it's hard to predict this round at all. That's why I'm not even sure about my predictions in this round, but if I had to say, looking at this list, especially who I think gets eliminated, it'd be those four. But yeah, I'm excited about this round. Should be a great round. If you haven't already, like and then go subscribe to this channel and then the Next Topic Sports channel. Like I said, we're going to be switching over our content over to that very soon. But also subscribe to this channel, as we will still have content, and you will still see me some on this channel in totally serious conversations. But yeah, thanks for watching this episode, and we'll see you Thursday for our preview of Texas.